So it's imperative that we understand and know our child and know how our child responds to different methods or approaches to correction.
The younger years are different than the middle years and the high school years. Every stage is different, but then every child is different too. And so, of course, that can
Mhm.
add a whole lot of, I don't want to say complication, but it can take a lot of effort from a parent to know how to discipline in all those different years, especially if you've got multiple kids. But let's move into kind of those middle school years, those preteen years, as they're trying to just figure out who in the world they are and how God made them and what they're supposed to do with this thing that we call life. How do we discipline through those years?
There's no doubt that as a child grows, and sometimes they grow faster than their years. Every child's different. Sometimes, they have follow a typical pattern. Sometimes you have a 7-year-old that seems like an adult, and so emotionally they develop in different phases. And so it's imperative that we understand and know our child and know how our child responds to different methods or approaches to correction. And so there is definitely no absolute, this is one rule, one approach that fits every child, every situation. And so that's what makes the parenting job so hard. And we've all made mistakes. We've all done the wrong thing, said the wrong thing, so there's no doubt we're going to use a wrong approach along the way, but can we get smarter and wiser? And that's the whole goal of learning about this job of parenting. And so, uh, children, as they exit the early years, they're becoming more emotional, and I talk about this in the book that emotions kind of come alive in the preteen years, and it seems like all they say, all their terms are "I'm tired" or "I'm exhausted" or "I'm excited," or all the words that they will use have an emotional charge to it. And so it's important to be careful with emotion during those years. And so we've got to stay calm because they're going from one extreme to the other. And so even in our correction is that it has to be very clear. And I would say that they understand words during those years, they understand concepts. And so we don't have to use the language of physical pain to correct. And it should be, let's talk about what desired behavior is. And so sometimes it's just slowing them down enough to let them think and get them out of the feeling and training their thinking. And so discipline is as much training as it is punishment. So it's very important to keep those things in mind, particularly in those preteen years. So, and
Yeah,
then
yeah.
as we get into the high school years, it's more that we should be helping them to dream and pursue those things and foster that. So it's more of a launching, and not so much as hemming them in. It's more of an idea of saying, okay, we're helping you to find your path, and we're encouraging you along, pushing them forward rather than holding them back. One example from the preteen years of a training technique that we used to try to not make it as harsh, but to make it a true training and correction is that during that time period, our oldest children were in competitive horseback riding. And with competitive riding, you have all these different things that are made of leather. There are saddles, and there are spur straps, and there are all kinds of halters and different things. And so leather has to be conditioned to remain supple and useful. And so, but no one really ever wanted to take time to do that. And at the very same time, the children were becoming very chaotic in their taking care of their personal things, ball gloves and hats and books and articles of clothing. They were just kind of dropping them wherever. And so I had a choice to make, and that was I could go through the house, stomping my foot and shouting. But because it's a highly charged, emotionally charged time period, knew it needed to be more controlled, but it needed to have a punishment that was linked to a desired behavior. And so we came up with this plan where I got a big cardboard box, and it was the jail for items that were out of their place. And so I could go through the house at any time, night or day, and if something was on the floor, it was not in its place, I could get that item and throw it in the box. But they had to redeem it. And so we were teaching the idea of redemption. There's a price to redeem an item, and that's scriptural. Okay, so to redeem any of their items that were in the box, they had to condition one piece of leather. And so they could do it while we were watching a movie or telling stories or reading books or different things. So it didn't have to be total painful, but it was something that everybody knew it needed to be done. Nobody really wanted to do it, but it was their price for redeeming their item. And so I loved it whenever it was a favorite pair of shorts, or it was their ball glove, or something that they had to have. And I knew that they would sense in a sense, the pain of having to redeem it. And so that concept of redemption became a very, very well-known concept. And today I see them doing the very same things in their lives. Whenever they need to fix something, they know that there's a price to fixing it. And that's just normal training. Yeah. And so sometimes the correction is not totally painful. It is training. There's a cost to it, but it doesn't have to be painful. And it certainly doesn't have to be emotional. And so having a plan like the cardboard jail, that kept us from getting emotional. We just said, oops, you broke the rules here. There's a price to pay. And so they knew, and it was more relational. It wasn't like I was trying to put, they knew I was not trying to cause them harm, and that they really were the ones that caused their own trouble. So there are things like that we can do creatively to train our children, to correct our children in a non-emotional, non-harsh, or, injurious way.
Homeschool Insights is sponsored by CTC Math. If you're looking for a great online math program, visit ctcmath.com and try it for free. For more great homeschool inspiration and resources, listen to the Schoolhouse Rocked podcast every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday.